most of you know Sensei Michelle, who's instructor here, also my wife, and Julio is also one of our instructors too. They're both here to share their knowledge and assist me. Okay? So can everyone hear me first of all?
Yes. Yes.
Everyone can hear? Okay. So we're looking at the kata Seiyunchin. My goal in doing these workshops, as I mentioned last time we did one, is not to teach anyone a particular way to do the kata, because depending on who you learn from, your kata may be slightly different. So my goal here is to simply discuss some of the principles of the kata, look at a couple of drills that will be helpful in practicing it, and also to show a couple of the bunkai too. Kata. So we're coming from here, and we slide the foot in, we're coming to this position. So my body's at 45 degrees, and my hands are at 45 degrees. If I turn my hand sideways, you see a 90-degree angle, just like that way. So that way I know I'm in the correct position here. Also, you notice from the side, I've also got a angle here, 45 degrees, so not too close to your body. If I take my hands from here to here, it's the same angle as Seiyunchin. So that's an important principle to remember. So the elbows in, elbows out, it's the same position. Does that make sense to everyone? So when I move in the kata, so I come forward, my feet, hands come together, I start together, finish together. So I circle the hands, making a circle coming up. So when I cannot lift my elbow any higher than it's coming away from the body, that's when I stop. Again, if I come to here, it's the same as Seiyunchin. So that's going to be a common theme the whole time. So people always ask, how far do you lift the hands? Well, you lift them as far as you can keep your Seiyunchin armpit closed here. So once I'm here, I grip, I pull it down, scooping up. So I scoop up my body size, so I scoop across the body size, and I turn. Okay? So does everyone do something like that? We do pretty much that, right? Something like that. So, so I come forward, I circle, I come down. So one hand is pushing and one is pulling. They're not doing the same thing. One hand is pushing, one is pulling. So I'm coming up this way, I come up to this point, and my hip is helping the motion that way. So internally my hip is helping the motion that way. Now, when I get to here, my hip's actually going to go the other way. I'll show you why. So, does everyone agree this is kind of a basic position to start from? We kind of start like this. So first of all, remember I said that one arm is pushing, one is pulling, so that is obviously that type of motion. Everyone got that? So I'm not just going like that. I mean, I could, but that's not really it. Likewise, if he was kicking, like he was going to do a front kick, if he's going to do a front kick, it's not that way. He's going to do a front kick, it's that type of feeling. It goes from the outside, that type of feeling. So it's that motion. So here, that. So if I look at that here, and I come in, you can obviously attack with your body. Does that make sense? So if I do the next movement like this, I come up and I get to here. Now his arm is stuck. If he's offering resistance, pushing that way, I can't pull it across. Okay, so when you do the motion, you have to turn your hip. So when I'm coming across that way, I can't pull it across, I use my hip. Not my arm, my hip turns, pull it across. So we're here, we can strike this way. Remember, if you come up, you're going to get stuck, so here you can strike up, this way. And then pull down. Does that make sense? So the other thing about this, if I come into this type of position, whether he's grabbing my wrists or he's closing down my biceps, it's like, if he lets go, he can do anything he wants to me. Does everyone agree with that? You just let go and anything. So when we do the motion, the goal is to get on top. Then when I do that motion, I can bring it around. So I force his reaction. If you ever see that, so here, I come down. I don't just try and manipulate this arm, I make him move his own arm by hitting up. Then I come this way, then I can attack. Does that make sense? So what you get, so basic, we start the wrist as a basic idea, so we come up. Again, if I stay completely square and I try and do, if I try and just come up, it's really difficult. So I have to separate the arms, separate the motion. So again, if I just try and come up, can I get stuck? So what I do is I turn my body, my hand ends up on the side, you can see that? And then all I have to do is turn it back that way. So I turn my body, I turn the other one, I get over this way. So that's how I get inside. First strike, and then attack. And then the next one, the kata follows along with that type. So when I'm doing the motion, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we repeat. So from this position, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So we have a drill. We have a drill which really helps with the initial bunkai of the kata. It's called the under drill. So I go under the arm, under the arm, under the arm, under the arm. So when I hit the arm, there's a little bit of resistance, so I don't try and push it, I can switch to the other side. There's a little bit of resistance, I go back to the middle. So I go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Everyone see that? So the reason we practice this is because if I come here, that makes the arm move across, that gives me the arm to do that type of strike. So I strike up, and that gives me the motion. Okay? The other good thing about this drill, and you know you're going to get a recording of this, so you'll be able to see it, is after I hit, I cross. If I want to go back the other way, I hit up again to open them up. Okay, so when we're doing the bunkai, it's that same thing. Then I can come the other way. And that's the next part of the kata. That's the next part of the kata. That's the next part of the kata. Okay? So again, the way it works is down, up. As opposed to, okay, not that way. Does that make sense? And it works just the same. He grabs just that thing like controls, elbows up, down. It's the same thing, right? And it also works if I come that way. Come that way. So not up, I hit towards it. Okay? Also, let's see, so when we do the kata, we come here, we go that side. So we practice going on both sides. We also have this type of motion, whereas after I hit, boom, I hit that side.
Block, really a block.
Okay? Then, I switch to the other side. So I switch to the other side. So down, up, trap, hit. So you're blocking it, so I just keep it going. Boom. Now this hand is in. That's my on that side. On that side. One, two. Straight from the cutter, right? Everyone see that? Slow motion. 1, 2. Yeah, maybe I'm getting pushed over, so I'm going to trap the other arm and go on the other side. Here, strike. Next movement. Don't move. Next movement. Right? See that? Watch what happens. I push in. Push in, and he's closing his arms in. So as I push in, I've trapped that other arm. So this motion is quite important in the kata. It's not only, like if he was punching at me, you often see basic with something like this, we go like that, and then we go. Because they're not blocking, it doesn't matter. Probably you've seen something like that. Or it might be something like this, he punches. That type of thing. So from here, naturally he's going to block it. Right? So I'm doing the motion that way, whichever way I go. So I'm switching it on this side. I come that way, hit here, down. So he's going to, as I push in, he's going to close it in. So here, let's switch it. Then, that's the next part, right? Everyone see that? Down. Braking, locking, hit. There. While he's busy doing that, just turn, I hit that. Come over, open him up. Okay?
They can't see your cover line. Do it in 45 and there. Yeah, there you go.
You see that? So this is quite important. You know, when you come from here, I often see people, they come up to the kata, they stick their elbows out and they go like that. Don't do that. So I go from here, it's here, it's like, everything's like Seiyunchin. So turn, keep the elbows in. And push from there. You only stick your elbows out if it's something you're doing in the application. The reason is, so if I'm trying to push forward, and my partner, I'm trying to push through their guard, they always just close the guard, right? So I end up like that. So I'm pushing forward here. I don't stick my elbows out. I don't try and push forward. If I push forward, that happens. All I do is I stick my elbows in. I stick my elbows in, and they go straight through the center line. It's like elbows in, not push the hands forward. Elbow. So when I always go in, this happens. My wrist stays where it is. My wrist stays where it is. At the end, they shoot forward. If you move your hand, every time I move my hand, it follows it. See that? So I try and push my hand forward, it'll know where it's going. If I want to keep my hand in contact, it hits him, I move my elbow first. So you always keep that, you keep the point of contact. Not here, because you'll feel it. You keep the point of contact. So there's a lot in that motion. Okay, so again, from here, not that way. Tuck the elbows, claps the up, and then claps the elbows that way. Does that make sense? And so, you know, on the other hand, also if I end up in a position like this, here. Like if he's closing me in already, I might have to bring the elbow in. I'll bring the elbows in. That also lets me.
No, because you're for the back there.
He's pressing in. Yeah, I can't go. So in. This all comes from Seiyunchin. Right? This all from Seiyunchin. Elbows in, out, down. Elbows in, out. So so we're here, we do that. Then next motion is I'm going to come back and pull. So when I pull, I'm pushing just as much here as I am pulling. A simple application, you might have seen someone holds and people go like, everyone's seen that, it's like, bam, that type of motion. So the feeling is not pull, it's like push just as much as you pull. If I pull, that happens. 2 hands. That other hand's working hard. Does that make sense? This one's strong. Which is important in the application because, if we're doing applications like this, so I'm coming this way, I want to hit him here. This hand's just as important. So we're here, right, the next movement is pull it out, right? Push it out. So, if you do it that way, I come here. So I'm here in the kata, I'm coming this way. I come this way. I'm going to strike in, I'm going to take this hand with it, push. He traps my hands down here, right? It's natural, he's going to trap that arm, so I push in. So as he traps that arm, I'm not, it's like, that way, right? So that'll be the next motion. So it's pull, push, pull. Okay? So that way. It could be that way, right? Okay? So we're here. So this is another key point in the kata. What often happens when you watch people do the kata, they do this, they go that, they go nice and strong, then they go relax, next movement. There's no relaxation after the hit, it's part of the same technique. So I hit, imagine you're focusing on the opponent, then you go. I'll show you why, because if I came in that way and he blocked it, I'm not going to relax and then go again. It's like, I have to go straight away. No. Okay, we're here. Okay? Same here. Here, so we got that, we got one. So we end up 45 degrees, and so people think they're supposed to step sideways. I'm not stepping sideways, I'm going to make a straight step. So a straight step, I take the opponent with you, Take the opponent with you, not take the opponent with you, then. Okay? So then, after you do the movement, so you come forward here, then it's like, and you go back, and then in the kata it's emphasized that you switch very quickly. So you step in one, and then you go back two. That happens a lot in the kata, right? It's the same here. You go in, and then you go back again. And so when I'm doing the motion, say I'm on, I've done my elbow, I'm going to do my first get down but I, I'm here. So the next one is like, you're switching quick, like in close, as you do it. It's the same thing here, you're doing a punch up. Is that feeling right? So when I do the motions up, the same thing, you keep switching the stances when you do it. You get a little bit ahead. Okay. So we do that, we do it on the other side, and we come back. 1, 2. How do you get it? So okay, so if you're just doing basic, we call this argue get. Well, there are no argue get in karate, but we call it argue get. It's really. So if I do the motion, so I start to that way. If I do the motion like this, boom, that becomes the same thing. So if I do it, it's the same motion. Okay, which is important when like punch is basic. It's not meant to be done that way because all that happens is I still got all this energy to deal with. So I do the motions like. That way. So that's why you see things like this. A straight punch is coming in this way. I receive it, facing my opponent because they're in front of me. So I receive it. And then I change. See what happens to his body? So when you turn, like he spins. So you see like, it's like basic. Okay. So we're here, so as you do it, your opponent's in front of you, you're blocking whatever's happening here, and then now you're redirecting. So as you redirect, your forearms start to turn. Then, okay. So cut that stuff. It's done slowly usually. So 1, 2. Make sure you come all the way back. 2. And then. Actually, this is quite an interesting movement. So let's see. So if we're actually we're doing the kata, we're on the inside. So it goes get down but I. Alright, get down but this is get down but I. Basic drill, get down but I. 1, 2, attacking. Attacking. Also the foot is attacking. Straight, sorry. Outside, straight. Right. Get under eye. So there's all these attacks. There's attacking here, there's attacking there. There's on the drop, attacking here, attacking there. Try to do this one. Someone's tall, that was okay. So that'll be that part of the kata. That. So this motion seems to be only stepping backwards, but when you think about it, to get me to go backwards, I've got to go, I have to bring him back. So in the cut there, I go attack that way, and then I come up. 1, body attack. Okay? Has everyone done this drill where you just step in and we just touch? That way, right? Just a second. So it's there, it's like down. You guys done that before? That type of drill? So the point is that's technique. So that's the technique's the same thing from here. This technique. So if he's got his hands up, it's like feel it. So when we do that drill, it's like so you're imagining his technique. 1, 2. Okay. So another important aspect of the kata from here is this right foot. It's coming around. So from there, I'm going to try to take my elbow and I'm going to whip it in that direction. As I do that, it's going to speed that foot up. So from there, not this. You often see people going like that. It's not that way. So you're already in. So you've got to bring a small circular motion. That way, right? I can't go. It's just a small motion. Okay? Small. As you do that, the foot is coming around. But for your own practice, if you do it, you may end up going halfway around that way. Because that is an attacking motion. Right? So if he's got that foot forward, and he's a big strong guy, and I'm like, it's like difficult to sweep. So what I do is I go around, I attack, break his balance. Once I break his balance, it's easy to lift it. So it's attacking. You just keep going down, right? But so it's attacking that way. Break the balance, easy to lift. Or as I do that, you move that foot back. 1. Go on the other side. So 1, 2. Katas is 2 motions, right? So 1. 1, 2. 1, hit. 2. Everyone okay? Yeah.
Well, that leg attack, you might want to show from the other side. So they can see the point of contact, how you're breaking the balance.
So if you had done a kata, you could be in this position, somehow like that. So I come down. I want to break his arm. I want to break his balance. So I'm attacking my shin. So, break it. Now it's easy to do. So the kata goes 1, hit, 2. So while they're off balance, that hand is coming in. Also, it might look like this too. So I come around that way, that. Here, it's still got his balance, so I didn't upset his balance, so it's like here. It's that cross step. Right? So if I just try and push it as I cross the foot. One. Okay? So there's no kicks in Seiyunchin. There's no kicks in Seiyunchin, right? So every time I'm doing a step, that's a technique. So she's got right foot back. So she's going to step and try and step on my foot. I step, try and step on that foot. And step, step. So if we go that and then do the Seiyunchin. So she steps. It's the same motion as if you were kicking. That's a good drill to do. You do back and forward with each other. So we came this way. I came that way. But he's blocking it. He's blocking it. So I want to open him up and hit. The problem is when I do that, because he's strong, I'm trying to muscle his strength, so I have to do something that's going to change the situation. So from that, one thing I can do is I can step, use my weight. Right? Then when I plant my weight, I mean that. So it's 1, 2, 3. It still is a bit difficult. That's my step. See the way his head drops in? So the kata is step.
Also, I don't know about the elbow. Is that elbow pushing the elbow out? You're using your body weight. I don't know if they can see the elbow opening.
So everyone familiar with this motion? So usually, in kata, mostly it's assumed that the opponent is in front of you, except for a few special movements. And so, if I go this way, go that way, boom, here, essentially it's because something went wrong. So she's going to do the punch up. She's going to come punch up. If everything goes okay, that's fine. If something goes wrong, for example, boom, this way, so now we're behind. So a lot of these movements follow that type of motion. It's the same in Seiyunchin kata. We go out that way, and then there's a movement. We go like that. Because if I'm doing this type of motion here, and I'm turning, there's always a chance that my partner grabs my hand, pulls it, and they turn me and they can grab around. Okay. So this motion is from behind. Like it could be this, it could be something else. All right. So there's a lot of components to this. The first. So the first thing to move is actually the hip. The hip is the first thing to move. So when from here, when they grab, that's the first thing used. Well, unless you're ahead of, if you're ahead of the game. So often what happens is someone comes from behind, you think, okay, come from behind, I'm going to go, and try and hit back, I can't. So do it again. So as they're coming from behind, I keep my hand where it is, I lift my elbow. If I lift forward and then do that, I'm already stuck. So the initial training is, when they come, so unfortunately I can see them this. But, assuming that the grip is starting to get tied up, so that's the first thing. Right. A little bit space. This is up 1, 2. All right. If I stop there, I've given him the worst movement. So that's why there's 2. So it's like, okay, 1, 2. So if I switch, I go like this. It's not going to work. So it's like, so 1, 2, as I switch, come up. So we try to grab you around the neck. You can't. Look, we're running out of time, so does anyone have any questions or a question? It's question time.
Unmute.
Unmute your microphone. Anyone got a question?
I have a question.
Yeah, okay, no.
It's Chris. So
Chris.
at the beginning, do you have any insight into why there are the same sequence 3 times? Twice on the right, once on the left.
Okay. So 1, 2, 3, right?
Right.
1, 2, 3. So you know, I think you know, you hear that kata has always stayed the same. It's always been the same. You know, whoever brought it back from China or wherever, blah blah blah, didn't make any changes. Well, really, probably not, right? We know it's not because we can see changes as time goes by.
Right.
So I think one thing is that Miyagi-sensei definitely wanted to systematize the style, and so a lot of things kind of repeat. If that makes sense. But
Yes.
the other thing about repeating something is, for example, you know, if I go like this, and I want to do this, but something didn't work, that's okay. I use the first motion will be to get to the second one. If that one doesn't work, another one. So it's like a fail-safe built in. So you see that long kata. So in Seiyunchin, you go 1, 2, 1, 2. But why is that? Is it only for balance? Maybe not. Does that make sense? Like for example, Sekpai, which we did last time, a lot of the moves you only do 1 time. Right? It doesn't repeat. It doesn't repeat. It's like, it doesn't repeat, but there are fail-safes built into those techniques. You know, for example, if I'm doing this technique and trying to lock him up and it doesn't work, there's a follow-up immediately. Does that help?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
So, you know, I don't know what's in the founder's head, but that's just, you know, a couple of ideas.
Thank you.
Chris. Anyone else got a question? No questions?
That one where you were talking about when you came in, you did the elbow and he was coming forward. That shows.
Okay, so yeah, at the very beginning of the kata, we start like that, right? So as we move, we bring the hands up. So in basic application, a lot of what happens is people grab the wrist, and we go from there. Just get its easiest starting point. Or we also did it from these, like just controlling the arms, or could be pressing on my biceps, you know, like that way, that feeling, right? Whatever it is. Or it could also just be like charging in at me, right? So it's just like charging in at me. It's like 45-degree that feeling. So if this is from the back, well, because kata always goes off, it could also be from the front, right? So he grabs me from the front. Like, I need to have something to do as he's doing that. An easy thing to do is, you know, as he's coming in, you know, obviously you can not do that. But I just create a little bit of distance. I just create distance. Okay. This is like a post gets in his way. It's actually important. We talked about the angles. These angles are really important. A lot of the time we see something happen like this, probably in basic kumite, where someone punches, and okay, I'm going to grab. Can't block in basic. There's no blocking. You've got to make it easy for me. Right? So you know, we grab and do something boom like that. It happens a lot, right? So you know, as I'm grabbing this motion, what's to stop him just coming in and grabbing me around the waist, picking me up? So those angles are so important. So when he does the movement, that's the strike. He comes to grab me. That angle, slightly more than 90 degrees, sign it doesn't collapse. Any other angle will. So we're in this position. You can try it with each other. Like if I put my hand like that and then grab you around the back and it claps me. It collapses, right? I just go a little bit more of an angle. It's not really easy to hold it. That's the magic of key. Oh, don't tell anyone, that's a secret, you can't say that. Anyone else got a question? Because we're kind of running out of time. Any questions? Something you're not sure about?
No.
Something I didn't cover? Sandy?
Look, you know, a lot of this stuff is almost over my head, but that's the beauty of karate. It's the intellect that underlies everything. That is what is so amazing about it. But if I only had somebody to practice this with, that would help a lot.
Yeah, I think that it's very true that there's an awful lot in the kata. You know, it wasn't something that was thrown together overnight.
Yeah.
You know, as students and practitioners, our job, I think, you know, is to really research that and not just hit the heavy bag and break bricks. Okay. Well,
Sensei Paul, that was an awesome evening. Thank you very much indeed.
You're very welcome. Anything else? Any question? No?
The last part of the kata.
Last part. Okay, last part. Okay, good. So it's often misunderstood part, right? So I've done that. I'm coming forward this way, and I'm coming back this way.
Right.
Right. So what you see a lot is, so we're here. Well, we'll emphasize that, and then we'll go back and we'll emphasize the next movements. Those movements are meant to be done together. So we're supposed to be doing those together. The first thing is that when I come forward, don't do that and then that. This is your cover. If you're coming forward, you're in that position, this is your cover. You come forward here, that, right? So you hit. Then, this, when you're coming back, you keep the concentration. It's a heavy drawback as you come across. So I'm here, I draw it back heavy, come back and watch. It's not just like basic is okay, one movement, but actually, like kuryuke, it's called kuryuke. It's kuryuke, hit, that. I'm still doing the motion, but as I do it, hit. Now, for example, if we do so, we get to this position, I try to hit and he blocks it. Like if he doesn't block it, that drawback is going to be like, so just you keep it going down. Right? But if he blocks it, that. So now I've got to do something with that. So I'm here in a kata, I'm coming back. Back, right? One, two. You can think of something like that. Right? Does that help?
Yeah.
So not this. Don't do this. You grasp my lapels. You always see that. What people doing? Take some, you know. He might be able to do it to me, but I can't do it to him. Right? But he can do it. He doesn't need to do that. Right? So if you grasp me this way, that works. Okay? If you come sideways, you drop them down. Let's do your elbow. But not. Sorry, it's just that when I was coming up in karate, I got shown those type of techniques all the time, and even then they didn't work, even when I believed in them.
Yes, see that. Yeah, thank you for that.
Okay. All right, so I think we have to finish. Thank you. Thank you everyone so much for being part of this. We'll do another one next month. If you have a kata you want to, has to be goju because I don't know any other kata. So, you know, if you have a kata you want to look at, you know, message me or something. Okay? Well, thank you all very much.
Arigatou gozaimashita.
Thank you.